Have you ever been with someone who could find something wrong, even when you thought you did everything right? You cleaned the house, but missed one thing. You cooked dinner, but apparently not the right dinner. You tried to explain yourself, but somehow your explanation became another thing you did wrong. And eventually you start wondering, am I in a relationship or am I on a permanent performance review? Because if this is a job, somebody needs to tell me where human resources is. Welcome back to Healing Hearts with Melanie. Today we're talking about something that can quietly change a relationship when criticism becomes the language of love, or more accurately, when criticism becomes so common that you can barely hear the love anymore. There's a difference between feedback and criticism. Every healthy relationship needs honest conversations. There will be things your partner does that bother you, and there will definitely be things you do that bothers your partner. That's normal. None of us comes with a lifetime warranty and perfect operating instructions. But there's a difference between something you did hurt me, can we talk about it, and what's wrong with you? There's a difference between addressing a behavior and attacking someone's character. One says, "We have a problem." The other makes you feel, "I am the problem." And when that happens repeatedly, it can slowly change how you see yourself. I experienced this in my own marriage. This is something I understand personally. In my marriage, there was a lot of fault finding. And when criticism happens repeatedly, eventually you start anticipating it. You don't wait for the criticism anymore. You hear it before the other person even says it. You start thinking, did I do this correctly? Is he going to complain about that? Should I explain myself now before he says something? And eventually, you become tired. Not necessarily physically tired, but emotionally tired. Yes, emotionally tired. Because home is supposed to be somewhere you can take your armor off. But when you're constantly expecting criticism, you may start putting armor on before you even walk through the door. When help comes with a receipt. Another thing that was difficult for me was when help was remembered almost like a record. If something was done for me, sometimes it could be brought up later. Remember when I did this for you? Or I did this, and this. And that was difficult for me because that's not how I naturally think about helping someone. When I help someone I love, I don't want to keep a scoreboard. I don't want to say, "Melanie, 17 acts of kindness. You, only 12. You're 5 points behind, so better catch up before Friday, okay?" Love shouldn't feel like we're collecting reward points. Because when every act of kindness eventually comes with a receipt, you may become afraid to accept help. You start thinking, "Never mind, I'll do it myself." Not because you don't need help, but because you don't want to pay for it emotionally later. Appreciation changes the atmosphere of a relationship. Think about this. What if instead of constantly noticing what your partner didn't do, you intentionally noticed what they did do? Instead of, "You forgot to take the garbage out," Maybe sometimes we also say, "Thank you for making dinner," instead of, "Why isn't this done?" Maybe, "I noticed you've had a difficult day. What can I help you with?" It sounds simple, but appreciation changes the emotional temperature of a home. People tend to open when they feel appreciated. They tend to close when they constantly feel judged. Criticism can eventually affect connection. And here's something we're going to talk about more tomorrow. Repeated criticism doesn't stay inside arguments. It follows you into other parts of the relationship: affection, conversation, trust, playfulness, and yes, physical intimacy. Because it's difficult to feel emotionally close to someone when you've spent the day feeling judged by them. You can't spend all afternoon telling someone everything that's wrong with them, and then at bedtime suddenly say, "Come on, baby, come here, baby." And they're thinking, "Wait a minute, I thought I was defective 3 hours ago." Our heart don't have an on and off switch. Emotional connection matters. And tomorrow, we're going to talk honestly about that. Sometimes, the criticism becomes your own voice. This is one of the hardest parts. If someone criticizes you long enough, eventually you begin criticizing yourself. Even when they're not around, you hear, "You're not doing enough. You're too sensitive. You're difficult. You should have done better." And eventually, those words become your inner voice. That's when healing requires something more than leaving an argument behind. You have to learn how to separate who someone told you that you were from who you actually are. I want you to take a quiet moment today and think about these questions. 1. In my relationship, do I hear more appreciation or criticism? Not just during arguments, but overall. When my partner corrects me, do I feel respected or diminished? Have I started doubting myself because of things I've repeatedly heard? Do acts of kindness in my relationship feel freely given, or do they sometimes come back later as something I owe? And finally, when I speak to the person I love, do my words make them feel safe with me or constantly evaluated by me? Because this episode isn't only about what someone else is doing. Sometimes we need to examine ourselves too. Yes, that's correct. We need to examine ourselves too. Maybe we're the one who has become overly critical. Maybe stress has changed the way we speak. Maybe we've stopped expressing appreciation. And if we recognize ourselves in that, that's not the end of the story. That's an opportunity to change. A little advice from my heart. Here's what I've learned. Don't let criticism become the loudest voice in your relationship. If something needs correcting, talk about it. But don't forget to notice what's beautiful too. Say thank you. Say I appreciate you. Say I noticed what you did. Say I know today wasn't easy. And if you're the person receiving constant criticism, don't allow another person's opinion of you to become your identity. Listen to constructive feedback. Take responsibility when you're wrong. Grow where you need to grow. But don't spend your entire life auditioning for someone's approval. Love should help you become better, not make you believe you're never enough. Okay? Tomorrow we're going somewhere even more personal. When you stop wanting to be close, we're going to talk about something couples often misunderstand. Sometimes physical distance isn't really about physical intimacy at all. Sometimes it began with words, criticism, resentment, feeling unseen, feeling unsupported, and slowly the heart moved away before the body ever did. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Until then, take care of your heart and also pay attention to the words you give to someone else's heart. Because words can build a home, and words can make someone afraid to live inside it. This is Healing Hearts with Melanie. Listen, heal, grow.